Good morning, everybody. This is a Facebook Live event with OK Students. It's Friday morning, and I'm back with Martin, looking at different topics around higher education. Morning, Martin.
Hey, Nick, how are you? And hi to everyone as well. Sixth episode now. We've been consistent.
Yeah, absolutely. I think some people have commented to say it's been really helpful and that we're just talking through different subjects. So as ever, please send in questions and we can monitor them and answer them as we go, or we can get back to you and cover them in the next week.
Definitely. I think we had literally a couple of people asking us like that we're posting the Q&A every Friday on YouTube, but like why not to do it live?
Yeah, absolutely. We're kind of using more channels to get to more people, just so we can help more people with some advice. But today's topic is quite a deep one. So we'll see how we get on.
Awesome. So what's the topic for today then?
Okay, so we said we're going to look at trying to understand university entry requirements, trying to use my perspective of having worked at a university for many years to understand how a university sets those entry requirements and what's the purpose. Often students don't understand how entry requirements are set and why they differ from each university.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Let's crack on with it. I've been to university myself. I have applied to one, and now I've worked at the OK Student for a bit. But like other than that, I don't have too deep knowledge on how these things work. But yeah, I mean, I have my own personal story.
Yeah, I think people often ask about the entry requirements and how fixed and structured they are. And they are sometimes quite flexible, either at different times of the cycle or the year, or sometimes flexible around what qualifications you have and whether they can be adapted to an equivalent of what they're asking for. So we get quite a lot of questions about, how appropriate qualifications are to what UK universities are seeking. And that does change at different points of the year.
Awesome. I think what I've thought actually myself as well, and what people usually ask is that why are some entry requirements different?
Okay, so universities can set their own requirements. Yeah, they do that internally, and they do it on a yearly basis often, and to set out for the next cycle. So in the UK, the culture is that most people apply for their university place up to a year in advance. So you prepare your application the year before you're going to actually go to the university. And that means that people can make a considered choice, look at options, receive different offers, and they can see how maybe their final year of study at high school or in their bachelor degree is going, so they can see what kind of entry requirements they can aim for. So a university has the power to set their own requirements. The reasons why they differ are actually kind of really misunderstood. A lot of people think that the entry requirements reflect either a value of the course or how difficult it is. So to have very high requirements means that you must have the academic ability to be able to cope with the course. Now, obviously, that is the case, that we're looking to regulate it to make sure that not only that you can cope with the course, but you can succeed. But actually, universities use entry requirements much more as a control measure of numbers.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
what kind of thing are you talking about? The kind of measurements between courses or between different universities?
Between different universities, so positioning themselves against another university, who they might see as a competitor, but also positioning against different course sets. So you can imagine some subjects at school, I imagine, were particularly popular for you. At the moment, things like psychology, very, very popular. business and international business, very, very popular. So these types of courses receive many more applications than some other courses. Courses like traditional sciences, like physics, chemistry. Those application numbers on the whole have been declining over the years.
Mm-hmm.
So some courses are very, very popular. So they have to use entry requirements as a control measure and increase the entry requirements to make it harder to get into, and that they have more selection criteria to manage those numbers because they can't take everybody on those courses.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of makes total sense. But it's just like what I've like found out or something is that actually a lot of those courses that you mentioned that might not be that popular with it, which is like chemistry and math, they actually still have super high requirements because they need more like depth of knowledge, I think, beforehand.
Yes, so there is a general requirement, a general average from your high school or your bachelor degree, but then some courses require specific subject requirements. So you're absolutely right. Maths, physics are classic examples. Physics will often ask for maths and physics to be studied to the highest level that you could before. And they are compulsory requirements that you must have because otherwise you're not going to cope with the course.
Okay.
If you're talking about business or something like that, or, kind of liberal arts and humanities, then often it can be from any subject and a more of a general GPA to see where you're at in terms of your standards.
So let's say business courses are usually very popular, and like I studied myself as well, business management and marketing. So would you say that, I mean, I don't remember that happening when I was applying, but do you say that they will change the requirements during the year then?
So requirements can change, not unregulated, but they can change between the start of the year and the end of the year. So at the start of the year, universities decide, based on the previous year's data, how many students they want to attract to a course, and also the requirements that students need to achieve on the course there. There are other considerations around ranking and accreditation that you're seeking that make higher requirements more necessary. So they set out this strategy of what the requirements should be. And yes, if a course has been building an interest each year, then the requirements tend to increase each year. And that's why you get a difference from one year to the next. The university won't necessarily make you the offer until you get to that year of application because the requirements might change.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think just to put, everyone's mind in ease, it is for sure that these requirements won't change when you've gotten the offer.
Absolutely, yeah. So
that's something you cannot do.
Yeah, within the regulation system in the UK, particularly for undergraduates, students progressing from high school to the first degree, there is a window between September and January where everybody is considered equally on the same requirements. And at that point, after January, a university can start to close courses for more applications if they have received enough or too many. What happens at the end of the year, so the following summer, and what we're approaching now, is that universities will start to say, well, how many applications have we had, and how many offers, and how many people have accepted our offers? And actually, they can say, look, we still have places available, so vacancies on a course, and so they can lower the entry requirements to reach this stage, so to fill up the courses. So in the summer period, there can be lower requirements for the same course.
Okay.
But the problem is for a student is that you don't really want to wait all the way until the summer before you start with no guarantee that there will be spaces to look at the courses that you want. So it's a great opportunity, but lots of students much more want the reassurance over making a decision over the year rather than leaving it to the last minute.
Yeah, definitely. The stress levels in like July, August would be like super high, and like, Yeah, I mean, yeah, that could be super stressful.
Very stressful. And as I say, this is what I'm trying to say, is that the making a considered choice is the most important thing. Where are you going to be happy? Where are you going to succeed?
Yeah.
And the mistake of thinking that because a course has high entry requirements, it's better than another course. That's not true. It's just that course has the higher requirements because it's either more popular or more selective because it has to manage the numbers. Yeah. So there isn't a lot of difference between each university in the UK, but the requirements can make it appear so. It's just more a measure of how popular the subject is, the course is, the university is.
Awesome. That sounds good. Should we discuss now, like, what actually the requirements are?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah,
I mean, the UK system, most students take a level 3 qualification. That's the pre-university qualification. And that traditionally in the UK, that's what's called A levels. So the universities usually look at a combination of 3 A levels as a minimum, and they add up the grades to get a points tally, and then they make an offer based on what you're predicted, what you need to achieve.
Okay.
And most students go through this process, and the equivalencies are there for other level 3 qualifications, so BTECs and other things like this.
It seems to be relatively easy for British students, but I mean, as I know as well, just to point it out, I think the requirements are a bit different for international students, and there is a couple of extra things that international students need to do to get the kind of place at university.
Yeah, so universities, British universities, are very committed to attracting not only the best talent in the UK, but all over the world. So they actively recruit and visit and encourage students from all over the world to apply to British universities. So to do that, they have to make a considered choice themselves of what is equivalent to their offer to British students.
Okay.
So they need to try and benchmark a country's qualifications to what's required at the same level for a British student. And they have the power to do that internally, so they make that decision themselves.
And this really depends, obviously, regarding to each country's educational system and how it works, right? Because I'm assuming universities take in consideration like many aspects, like the overall like level or strength of the education in the country, and yeah, in addition to all of the English tests and things you need to do prior, right?
Absolutely. So the A-level system is a national standardized test in the UK, whereas some countries, they operate systems where you take high school examinations and receive an award, and then you take maybe university entrance exams and maybe some national tests as well. So the university has to consider on balance what it requires. And in some countries, they combine local qualifications with also internationally recognized qualifications. So it's very common for British education to be accepted overseas. So you'll get students taking A levels, maybe 1 or 2 A levels alongside their local curriculum. The same with the American SAT or the IB. Yeah, you could take local qualifications and then supplement it with international qualifications. So these are different for every country and really for every student. And so a university admissions office has to take on balance all of the things you've been studying and how they equate it to what we require for UK university.
You yourself, you have actually quite a bit of experience like working at a university and looking out for that talent from different European and countries, I think worldwide. My question in here is like how, I mean, I don't know if you were the one who kind of set the requirements, but how is the process? How long did it take? I mean, I'm assuming that has happened throughout the years, but how easy is it to get to know a country's kind of educational system and understand the benchmarks. So what's good and what's not so good.
Yeah, it's a difficult process. And it takes a period of time really to test and learn about how students transfer from one educational system to the UK system. There are some tools that are very popular. So there is a system called NARIC, which is a regulation body that looks at international qualifications and gives advice to universities about what they should be accepting. Sometimes, that can be quite strict and stringent, whereas local experience from the universities would know that actually some students are achieving better from their own knowledge. So we would implement a strategy really sometimes where we would test groups of students from certain countries, and we would see how they basically progress through the first year, and then we would amend the requirements in the following intake and give those students as much support as we could. And often it was very, very successful because the types of students that we're talking about, the ones that want to study abroad, they're very kind of academic, committed, and so that they're really quite high achievers because they're already used to their big workload from their home countries, studying in different languages, and then applying that when they come to the UK. So it's not really a problem in that sense.
That's interesting. And you would say the kind of requirements, they won't change too often more like for the international like students or like countries, if I could say so, because I'm assuming the level of the students will stay relatively similar throughout the years, doesn't it?
Yes, the big change has been the kind of hugely kind of popularizing of foundation courses or bridging programs. Now, these courses in some countries, the curriculum is 1 year less than in the UK, or significantly lower in quality, and so the students are required to take an additional year or program, an international foundation or a pre-masters, to bridge that gap. They're coming through a partner course or a college that offers this program that then allows them to progress into the university. But what's this meant is that over the years, universities have become very adept at improving students and teaching them and bringing them on from their high school status. And so entry requirements have lowered in many cases because the universities are very confident that they can teach not only academically, but English language as well, to help students with lower requirements still achieve what they need to achieve in terms of the course of their degree. And they've done lots and lots of studies to look at that, to look at how entry requirements impact on the final outcome of your degree.
Yeah, interesting. I know we don't want to go really deep into those like steps or the things that university asks from one. I'm just thinking back to my own experience when I was applying to the university in the UK, and I'm from Estonia myself. And I remember that there was I think there was 3 or 4 things that they asked from me. Like, first of all, in Estonia, we have the exams at the end of the final high school year. And I think we have like 3 generic exams for everyone, which are compulsory. And I know the university asked a average percentage of those. So I mean, I think the exams were like math, Estonian language, and to be fair, the third one was the one that we could pick ourselves. And yeah, I think my university asked for around like 70% of the average results from those tests, which I think is a really good benchmark, because it gives you like leverage or opportunity to like do a bit better in one of them and maybe not as good as in the other one, but they take the average, which is awesome. And then they asked English for English test. I did the Cambridge one, I think. CAE, I think it's
yeah, Cambridge Advanced English. Yeah.
And just thinking what else, and then obviously the average grade of as high school. So we have grading system from 0 to 5. So they asked like average grade as well.
So if you compare that then to show the kind of challenges for the university, so you have a 5-point grading system, and in the UK they have for A levels still a letter grading system, but still of 5 points usually. But I think in Estonian high school, you're to the very end of your schooling, you are studying quite a few subjects. Is that right? You study
so the way
selection, so 10, 12 subjects. Is that right?
The way the system works is that we learn everything. So there isn't like at most of the high schools you don't like pick kind of way whether you want to do only math or like languages or history. In some of them are, but in majority throughout the whole high school you learn basically everything. So yeah, I think I had total of 14 or 13 subjects, meaning that, what does it mean? I think it kind of means that you have to do pretty well in all of them to get the average grade.
Yes. So comparing it to the UK, where they have 3 A levels, maybe 4, so you've taken 13 subjects where the UK students take 3 or 4. So it's kind of working out, where the common ground is and where the average comes. So in the UK, if there's an ABB or a BBB average, this kind of thing, that then equates over to a 4.5 average from your grades if you kind of map it to a 5-point system. Now,
like how well do I think the universities know the grading system? Because I mean personally, I think it's a really difficult one to understand, because I mean, how would they know? Like, for example, in Estonia, you won't pass when you get 1 or 2. So the pass starts from grade 3, meaning that if your average is like 4.0, it is pretty good, but it's not the best. But for a British person, it might sound like a good grade.
Well, exactly. So this is
who is the one to understand all of those relations?
But this is why it's important to have the perspective that it's not a precise science. It's not. It's a control measure. So as long as they're confident that a 4.0 can start the course and then improve, so that they won't be overwhelmed and fail, but that they can actually have it as a starting point. That's the most important thing, to be able to say we're not setting people up to fail, we're setting people up to succeed in that way. So I think even this discussion highlights how complex it is for universities, and how you're right in saying it differs by institution and even by country and so on, and really how well do they know these requirements. And that's why services like ours are important, because you need somebody to try and support your case, but also to help you understand what the university is asking for. Or often they get it wrong in their offers. They do misunderstand international qualifications. So you need somebody to be able to explain that back to the university.
Definitely.
Say, actually, the student is taking this combination, or this is why we think that they are strong. And so that's why kind of consultancy work has become a big part of international education.
Yeah, I mean, I was about to add that we have the luxury of knowing both sides. Like, we are in a daily contact with a lot of our partner universities, which we have like more than 60, I would say now. And at the same time, we all know very well that side, and the students. starting with the fact that most of OK students is students, and it's basically student-led company.
Yeah, absolutely. We're quite unique because we have the student perspective about things that students care about, where to live and what it's like, and which university would suit them best. And then we also have partnerships with universities where we can understand what requirements mean and make the application process smooth, and not take the stress out of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is the literally the combination that works. And as you say, we deal with these kind of inquiries on a daily basis.
And we have students / our own team from so many different nationalities, so many different countries, which means that like most of us are students, and we have gone through the whole process ourselves, so we know quite well how it feels to be on the kind of receiving end.
Yeah, the process, and also that local knowledge of knowing, what high school is like, how rigorous it is, and how that will compare to university life, how students will get on when they get here. So I would encourage anybody to make contact with us through the form, through the website, and we can just basically start advising you on what would suit you best.
And if you're still thinking whether to come to study the UK or not, check out our last Friday's episode, which was the 5th one, where we discussed why British education is the best.
Absolutely. I just want to say as well, I think when we go on to the next bit about clearing and confirmation.
Yeah.
So this is the period that we're entering now, the spring and then summer period, where students usually get their results, particularly in the Northern Hemispheres. The schooling academic year runs in this pattern. And so students will start to receive their results, and that will impact on where they can go to university. So this is a unique period because you may have applied already. You may be worried about not achieving the grades that the university wants. And you may be looking at what other opportunities are out there. If you've just received your grades or going to, actually there's still a chance to apply and actually get some really good offers at this stage. Things can move very quickly in terms of applications and receiving offers.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. So just trying to explain everything once again. So what is the confirmation?
So confirmation is referring to confirming your place once you get the grades. So this is really for students who have applied, they've received an offer, made it their firm choice, and then the university has a decision to make once you receive and submit your grades to them. Now, students, the big mistake is often they think, I haven't met the grades they wanted, I'm not even going to send it to them because I haven't met the offer. But actually confirmation is when the university still makes a decision. And often, if you've missed a grade, they still prefer to accept you on your place than look for somebody who's just made that decision from clearing. Yeah, because you've made the decision over a year, you've looked at accommodation options, you've really researched the option. So if you've dropped one grade, then actually they might still confirm your place. It's not guaranteed, but it's often the case.
Happened to me.
It happened to you.
It happened to me. I mean, first of all, I want to say that it's obviously beneficial for the university itself because, I mean, they have gotten to know the student throughout the whole process. They have read their motivational letters, seen like all of the communication with them. So therefore, they kind of, I'm assuming when they're making the decision whether to accept the lower grade or not, they have quite a bit of material to base the decision on.
Absolutely. Many of them use software to forecast how many students have met the grade that they wanted and then how many have missed it and by how much. And so then they can start to forecast, well, if we accept one grade less, we'll have this many students. And if you get 2 grades less, we'll have this many students. So they can do it in an analytical way. But also in many countries, high school and grades are often affected by political situations. Sometimes the exam board can be very strict and stringent in one year and really, really affect many, many students' grades. And if that happens, a university can have an overall view and say, look, everybody's been impacted by this, so we need to adjust what we asked for because it takes into account this.
Yeah. What do you mean someone in the exam board has a bad day?
Wow.
I mean, it's the real life, like stuff can happen.
Absolutely. You could get a particularly harsh moderator or teacher who's marking your work. But I think it's more things like, let's face it, some countries don't want to lose their talented young people to study in another country. They want to retain them. And sadly, one of the measures is that they can restrict grades so that they can't take up places abroad. So this is a political fact that's happened in some countries over the years. And so the UK universities as a sector can have a look at a country's grades and whether they need to adjust down their requirements because of that.
Yeah, I've been dying to continue the story of my own grades. So yeah, with myself as well, like I reckon I can talk about the exact situation. Like, I think my university asked for the average grade of 3.9 or 4.0, I think. And I think my grade, I wasn't particularly good at school, so my average was 3.8. So I was short by 0.2, and I think, looking back to the average grade of the exams, I was short by 1%. So that I pretty much made. But yeah, I had a good contact at my university's international development office, and I think my motivational letter was very, very strong, as well as I had other supporting factors of having done plenty of like extracurricular activities during the high school, and just like all of those external factors that show that you're a promising young person that wants to improve and learn and do things. So in my case, it was literally all about communicating with the university. And funny enough, I had massive insecurities of how to do that, and I was actually really scared that they don't take me in and so on. But luckily, I had a agency, who I used to apply to the UK, and they were really, really good at just telling me that, hey, Martin, everything's going to be fine, and we're going to talk to the university on behalf of you. And obviously, I think even if the agencies like ourselves have the contact with the university, the direct contact, it means that they can also give their own subjective opinion on the student.
Absolutely. Your story there highlights a few things. Your drop grades would be classed as a near miss. You were practically there, but for whatever reason, you've just dropped a few grades. And a good university admissions office would look at that in context and say, well, what grades did you drop? And is that relevant to the degree you're studying business? So, how much does one impact on the other? And as you say, the university has processes where through parties like ourselves, they can communicate with them to really look at your profile as a whole, your personal statement, and all the potential you have. And so that's a really, really good example of the success of challenging the decision, not hiding away because you dropped your grade, but actually looking at your options and having the support you needed to actually secure your place in the end.
And having the support, I think, is a really important factor as well, because I wouldn't have known who to email to. I wouldn't have known what to say, because, as a young high school graduate, like, it doesn't come naturally to email university that, hey, I didn't meet my grades, but trust me, and I'm gonna do better. It's like, I felt like talking to someone like really higher up and like some very official institution. So having an agency supporting me and of course,
this is the service we can provide and is necessary. This is why we're empowered and trusted by universities to do it on their behalf, because they trust us to do it. Yeah. So I'm going to add as well, I'm sure you're predicting a very high 2-1 or even first class degree. So I think the university made the right decision by accepting you, Martin.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I am probably getting high 2-1 or so, but merely based on the fact that I have decided to do so much else than just studying during the university time. Or maybe I'm going to get low first, I don't know. To be fair, I don't really mind because it's just a number. And I know that my future employment won't be based on the grade. I know it will be based merely on the things that I've actually done. But at the same time, yeah, I mean, first year, funny story. I love telling the story. I literally came from high school where I was like lower third student. So I wasn't even in the middle. And I came to the university, and first year I ended up being the top performer of the year in my course. So the highest grade.
So there you go.
So it's a fun story.
So let's just touch on clearing as well, because this is a huge part as well. So confirmation is about confirming your place, and even if you've dropped grades, so we've covered that. Clearing is the name of the process where universities can open up the vacancies they have left in the summer and the requirements they expect, so they can often drop those grades quite significantly to fill up the places. And so it means that it's a fast-moving period for all students, British students, but students all over the world, where you can quickly secure a place with the university. These places are limited until they fill up. But it's interesting because it means you, in some aspects, you could get really, really good university offers for much lower than at the beginning of the year. That's the truth. That's the reality. And so some students are allowed to adjust up. So if they overachieve, they can actually adjust up to a higher university if they want. They can ask to do that.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's a really good feature. And but for other students who haven't applied, but then suddenly they get their grades and say, actually, I can do this. They can then apply very quickly through consultancies like us to secure places. And this year is really special because there are less students of a university age, so going from UK high schools to universities, than for the last 25 years, I think. And so there are more places available for international applicants this year. And so the likelihood of securing a clearing place for a high-ranking university is high. So it's a real buyer's market. We've said this before. It's a really good time this summer to secure a place. This also extends to Europeans like yourself, because it's also probably the last time students can get the funding for their whole degree program if they're an EU national. So 2 reasons to really, really look at your choices this year. If you have applied or if you haven't applied, just to have a look at what options you have.
So you're saying that this year students have more power than ever to choose the university, because universities are really, really interested in filling up the seats.
There's more vacancies, and the funding is still in place for Europeans. So yeah, many reasons why this year it's a really good year to look at your options. You can look at your options and apply with no obligation of actually, taking up that place until you enroll at the university. So we would always say the first step is to register your interest, apply, talk to us about it, and then from there we can look at your options and see what offers you get, and then you can make a considered choice. And maybe that is that you don't want to go to university this year, but it's better to have those options in place.
I think this year's clearing is going to be very, very interesting. And yeah, I mean, I think we haven't said it anywhere publicly yet, and we don't have to go into the details now, but I think we're going to do some really, really fun stuff this summer with very quick turnarounds for our students.
Immediate turnarounds. we have a direct line to university admissions offices, so we can literally have a look at your qualifications because you've already achieved them, and then get an offer for you very, very quickly, often within 24 hours, 48 hours. So this is the summer period when you have your results. When you have your results, anything is possible because we can make quick decisions with the universities.
So let's play it out. It's end of July, and I've gotten my results, and I really want to study in the UK. I'll call OK Student. What's going to happen next?
We'll basically counsel you on the phone, decide what it is that you want to study, what you're looking for in the UK in terms of, do you want to live in a big city, or do you want to go to a prestigious university, a historic university, or would you thrive in a kind of modern university that's kind of got high teaching quality? We'd look at all of those aspects, and then we would start to go through the choices that have vacancies that match your grades. Yeah, we would maybe shortlist a few, and then literally we would then go and broker that offer with the university. Yeah, we would get permission from you to be able to secure that offer from the university. And once we have that, then we can go through the process of confirming it officially. It's as simple as that. It's literally just talking to us about what you want, and then we can try and deliver it for you.
I should have called again, I think.
Well, I know many people who've secured amazing offers in clearing and done very well, but as you say, it's quite stressful because the decisions have to be made fairly quickly. And also, as you can imagine, the numbers of vacancies changes on a daily basis. So if a university's got 10 places on this course and then they offer them out, it closes again, then maybe only 5 of them accept those places, so it opens back out at 5, and so on. And so every day changes, so you have to be close to the situation to understand.
But luckily, we are able to speed up the communication with them and know the situation of the available places basically in a real time.
Absolutely. And this is particularly for international applicants, because the universities have offices that are dedicated to international admissions and understanding those requirements. So we have a direct line to those people, as opposed to the general kind of call centres that deal with the UK application system. So we go to the people with the expertise to make a decision on your offer.
Awesome. So yeah, we have linked down the form where, if you're interested, get in touch with us, fill in your details, and one of our lovely student advisors will get in touch with you. Yeah, they are awesome and super friendly. They will literally become your friend and guide you through the whole process. They've all been students themselves quite recently, and they know the process throughout. So yeah, definitely get in touch.
Definitely. It would be the best decision, because they have their own experience to draw on, but also they've been helping many students already. So they're very well trained in just looking at what are the possibilities for you.
If you want a good example, check out our Q&A from yesterday, I think, between our student advisor, Stefan, and head of advisors, Mariana. They had a very good Q&A session, and yeah, check it out.
Absolutely. Anyone who's watching who doesn't follow us on the other channels, get on it, Instagram and so on, because that's where you get very quick information, and you get a lot of the real stories coming out there from our advisors and the live Q&As and everything. So yeah, just basically get in touch on your preferred channel.
Awesome. Should we wrap up?
Yeah, definitely. It's been a really good week, actually. It was quite a heavy topic, but lots to talk about.
Yeah, it was quite detailed and heavier topic than usually. Like sometimes we touch more like philosophical topics, how like the benefits between free work and paid work and so on. Yeah, just to refer back to our last episodes, like there is tons of valuable information that you can just watch and familiarize yourself with different topics about studying and living in the UK. Anything else you want to know if you want your question to be answered in our next Friday's Q&A, or the live stream with our advisors, send in your questions from Instagram. I think the link is up here. Or any other social media channels. Facebook, we're on Twitter. There's a lot of informational and educational, interesting articles to read on Medium. OK_student on most of the channels.
Perfect. Until next week, Martin.
Thank you, Nick. And
all right.
Bye-bye to everyone.
Bye.